So part one of this video on the 5.4 liter engine on this 2000 F150 is going to be concerned with changing out the plugs on the passenger side, or the right side. As you can see, they're fairly accessible here, 1, 2, 3, with the exception of the back one. It's a little difficult. So I've made that into part one. And also in part one I'm covering more of the nuts and bolts of the hardware and such, changing the coils out, that sort of thing. Part two is going to be concerned with the other side, which is another whirl over here on the driver's side, in which each of these plugs is more difficult to get at. And that's a longer piece, running about 18 minutes long. So if you want to look at that one for the driver's side, that's where you go. Plug 2 that's easier to see. I'll show you the steps. First of all, the fuel injector. You just got to squeeze it and pull. Comes off pretty easy there. See the yellow connector? And now the coil connector. Squeeze on the back, pinch it on the back, and then pull up. Right here on the back you can see the part you pinch right here to release it inside. Okay, with that out, and you just have to get this little 7mm nut off for the coil. And you can see it down there. And this has no torque on it whatsoever. It is fairly long though. Yeah, turn and turn and turn for a little while to get that out. You can see it's fairly long. At that point, the coil can come out. See how flexible these are? That's why you don't need to worry too much about that fuel line there being in the way. Just wiggle it some, twist it, whatever it takes, and out comes the coil pack. Now in this one I just used an extension. I mean a swivel, just to get a little extra height. If I had had a little bit more of a longer extension bar, 9-inch maybe, would have been about perfect. But you got to improvise on them. Many times no two are exactly the same. First thing I want to do is get this. There's a PVC valve here. It's going into the cylinder, and you know it's in the way. Let's just tuck it up here so we don't have to deal with that guy. Okay, what I've done is put a board across here, across the battery, and across the front, because about the only way to get at these back ones is to actually lay on the engine. Okay, we're going to do this back one. I'll show you this one because this is the hardest one. First thing I'm going to do is take out this fuel line connection here, power connection for the injector. And then we have to unplug, and this is the harder part here, unplug the coil. And I've improvised a tool here using a vice grip pliers and a little peg hook to get behind the release on this connector. And with one hand pulling it up and the other hand pulling the connector out. Okay, we have it out. This is awkward to say the least. Okay, so there you can see our little 7mm nut that holds, or bolt that holds on the coil pack. I've got just a deep well socket on this. There, it broke loose. Just want to be careful working back here too that you don't lose the bolt, because you could have a devil of a time finding it again. Okay, not a bad practice when you're changing out plugs. Back here. So what I'm going to use on this back plug is a spark plug socket. I've got a little adapter to go from 3/8 inch to 1/2 inch, and then a 6-inch long 1/2 inch extension. I'm going to remove this with a 1/2 inch ratchet. Okay, we're in, we're on, and as you can see that's about the right height. And it's loose. Okay, now as I get close to having it turned out, I pull off the ratchet. Because there isn't a lot of clearance here, I'm not sure I'm going to get the ratchet out of there with this extension. Okay, it's out. And there it is. The spark plug gap on this plug is 0.052 to 0.056. It's in inches. This is 0.54 and it's a little tight. So what you want to do is just open it up a little bit using this tool. When you get it open a little too far, oops, I didn't get it there. When you get it too far, what I like to do then is set it down, put the gapping tool in between, push down on it to get it back exactly where the gapping tool is. And there we have it, 0.054. Another thing that's a good practice here, especially if you ever want to remove these from the boots, is to put some dielectric grease on the inside of the boot. I've got here is just a Q-tip. So around the outside, on the ceramic part of the plug, not on the metal contact surfaces. It's an Autolite Platinum plug, AP103. Plug's loaded in. So now we will get it back into the vehicle. Get it started by hand, of course. If you're confident you've got it threaded properly, you can start to use the ratchet on there. Okay, now 20 foot-pounds is generally enough for a spark plug. I'd like to get a torque wrench in on this when I can, but this one is not going to be possible back in here. So that's good. Let's go put her back in. Get the orientation the same as it was. Okay, we've got our coil bolt. Thread the needle on that. And there it goes. Again, you don't want to torque this a whole lot. It's plastic. Okay, plug it in. That was just a little bit easier than unplugging it. Now remember, we've also got our fuel injector to plug in there. And there that goes. Okay, so we wrap this side up. Really not too bad at all. Don't forget as you finish it up to put the PCV valve back into the valve cover on this side. Okay, we're done with the easy one. Now we'll move on to the other side.